all this. For those of you that don't know who I am, my name is Rachel Richards. I will be your host today, your facilitator. I am not teaching anything. I am a student with you. I am on program with you. I am in the optimization phase of my program, which means that I have completed induction. And the inductive phase is when you are losing that unwanted visceral fat, healing your body, stepping away from anti-health foods, forming all the habits that will support your goals. And it's the most intensive part of the program, right? So some of you are like, oh, as a matter of fact, put in the chat, let's put a 1 in the chat if you're in your first week of this program. If you're in your first week of this program, maybe this is your first call, community call, put a 1 in the chat. I just kind of want to see how many newbies we have. Put a 2 in the chat if you're getting close to transition, where you're like, actually, I am so close to my goals and I am working with my coach to actually start transitioning off of the 5 and 1 and start to add more and more foods of my own and really, kind of take the training wheels off, right? Put a 2 in the chat. Awesome, Erica and Paul. That's amazing. That is such a good feeling. And then put a 3 in the chat if you're like, I've transitioned, I am in optimization, which means that I have learned a lot of these habits. They are automatic for me. I don't really have to think about them anymore. Sometimes my old behaviors come up, but I have so many tools that I know how to confront them. And when I fall, I just get back up quicker and I stay there way less time than I used to. Put a 3 in the chat if that's you. So I want to show you guys that there is so much hope for you in this program for lifelong transformation. This call today is going to be a lot of the tools and the mindsets and the concepts that will help you with that lifelong transformation. Okay, where are we in our books? Let's talk about what we're unpacking today together. And I'm just going to lead some really good discussion on this, but where we are in our books. So the books work as a companion system. You may or may not know that, right? So when you open your life book and you start reading it, that's the awakening side of our program. We're trying to bring you into like a stream of consciousness and really get you to think about your life. That's why it's called a life book, not a food book. And it's rewriting your story. Now on page 13, it starts to pull you into the Habits of Health book. So you'll see like third paragraph down, italicized on page 13, it starts pulling you in to the science of the program. And really, I like to say it's the health class that I never got. It's the blueprint for my family that I was itching for, right? I was like, is this good? Is this bad? Right? All the controversy, all the articles, all the things we see on Google, it makes us confused. Put in the chat what happens to you personally, one word. What happens to you personally when you're confused? What's the one word that you're like, when I'm confused, this is what happens. I'll put mine. I freeze. Okay. I'm like, ooh, I don't want to go right. I don't want to go left. I don't know what I should. I'm just going to stay right here because it's too confusing for me to move forward. And I freeze. Okay. So that was part of my problem before the plan is I was confused. And so therefore I just kind of was winging it. Put a 1 in the chat if before this plan you were frustrated, confused, any of those things. Put a 1 in the chat. If you were just tired of hearing this is good, this is bad, stay away from that, never eat that, always eat that, right? And so on page 13, you're taken to the Habits of Health book for the first time. And the very first thing that you read about is section 1.1. It's not your fault that you're struggling. Now, when I read that headline, I was like, what do you mean it's not my fault? I've definitely been choosing poorly. I've definitely not been moving my body. I've definitely not been drinking enough water. You get the idea. But what Dr. A is saying is no, you don't understand how your brain works. If you understood how your brain worked, you would see that your very survival mechanism that is in your brain, which we're going to talk about today, is working against you. And that you actually have something in your brain and a big ego. Ego is self-protect, right? Your ego alone will prevent you from having lifelong transformation if we don't work through these systems in community with our coaches and start to embrace that it's not about the food. The food is just a vehicle to do this work. So I wanted to set that up for today before our discussion, kind of get you thinking about how you're approaching the program. How you approach it might need to be awakened today. And I really hope we can do that for you. I hope we can awaken you to more value, to more support, to more community, to more transparency, to more vulnerability, right? So that you have a chance at lifelong transformation. So in our books today, now that you understand, I always want to set that up on book club because I don't know that everyone knows how to use the systems correctly and how to toggle in and out of them. They are meant to be worked together 5 minutes a day. And some of our clients spend 5 in the Habits of Health and 5 in the Life Book, and that's great. Okay, but it's not meant to be hours of work. Otherwise, you won't stick with it. So go with me. In your Life Book, we're going to be in element 3. But really today, that's the supportive information that pairs with 1.6. So 1.6, you in charge of yourself, setting up for success. I'm going to say that again. You in charge of yourself, setting up for success. So did you know that right there, this program is trying to help you become autonomy supportive? Does anyone want to take a stab at what does autonomy supportive mean? And that's a big word. What does that mean that would maybe foster a little more understanding? I love what Julie just said. Radical responsibility. Feels so good to have the power. That's pretty awesome. What's opposite? Type in the chat, what's opposite of radical responsibility? What's the word? Opposite of radical responsibility would be what? Fallout, Eddie? Yeah, blame. Bingo, right? It's, I have an unhealthy family. It's my genes. You don't understand. I have like this going on. I have that going on. My coach was on vacation. So I had a bad week there. Nope, wrong program. We're going to help you. We love you enough to say no blame, no excuses. You get to take that power back. The power of, well, my doctor said, does your doctor live with you? Does he help you form habit loops? Like he's just there to guide the symptomology, right? Like Dr. A is telling you. So let's take our power back today a little bit and feel that sense of empowerment of like, if it's gonna be, it's up to me to form these habits, right? And so you in charge of yourself, setting up for success. I thought, man, just the headline of this grabbed my attention. Okay, so let's talk a little bit. Let's come off mute, anyone who's comfortable. And how have you gone from blame to radical responsibility? Like, walk us through that a little bit. Or are you still blaming and you're like, man, I just want to out myself? Let's talk about that, the headline of this element and chapter before we get into some of the pieces. Josie, my friend, good morning. Josie's my client. I'm so blessed to guide this lady, man. She motivates me back every time.
Hi, everybody. I'm Josie. Hi, Rachel. Good morning. It's always great to see your sweet face and hear your sweet voice. Yeah, 2 seconds, 3 minutes ago, I sent you a text and said, "It's my daughter's birthday. I can't jump on." And I'm like, "What the hell, Joe's? Like, you're only like straightening up the house and decorating. Like, put it on." And I just said to Dave, I should just get on anyway. And once again, you know I need to be on here, but yet I find excuses all the time. I'm going to out myself. I am I have a wedding shower, I have a wedding, I have a 60th birthday, I have this, I have that. I always find an excuse. It's horrible, and that's where I struggle right now. And I got to keep on out myself and hopping on these Zooms and listen to suggestions and listen. I have to do it all together. Like I said a couple weeks ago, like I have to speak to you. I have to try and stay on program every day. Don't think about tomorrow. I have to hop on Zoom because if I don't do all that, I'm taking my will back and I'm going to do it Josie's way. And we all know how that turns out for me. And it doesn't turn out too good every single time. So yeah, I've been struggling for a month now to like get this. And I'm not, you know what, just for today, I'm just not going to give up. And I'm going to try and keep on doing, not my way. Not my way, because I take that will back every single day. And I'm just going to listen to suggestions and I'm going to keep on coming on here. And it's great to have a community that we all are going through the same thing. Like, I don't feel ashamed telling you this, but if I don't tell you, you're not going to know where I'm at. So therefore, you're not going to be able to help me. And I have to be honest and I have to communicate where I'm at. And I do know that I'm going to get this. It's not going to be perfect every day, but I'm going to try my best.
I love it, Josie. Thank you so much for sharing that and for being on today. You know, what's powerful is we're going to talk about exactly what you're saying. These habits that we're doing, we have to do them 66 days in a row, regardless of how we feel, regardless of external circumstances, because in your life, lifelong transformation has to withstand birthday parties. It has to withstand a cruise ship. It has to withstand your reunion. It has to withstand the flu. And so these have all been external things that yes, they make it harder, but when we commit to doing the habits day after day after day, the supportive learning that we're having today is exactly that. And it takes 66 days to form the habit. If we break it for one day, we're in trouble. But we can fix quickly that neural pathway. Dr. A says if it goes 2 days, you're entering the danger zone. And if it goes 3 days, your brain is headed towards a relapse, okay, to old behaviors. And so and that's on page 90 of your life book. That's where I found that. And that really convicted me, especially right now when I'm working on some goals and I'm not being consistent and I'm seeing why I have to keep picking it up and putting it down, is because I haven't embraced the neural pathway that he's talking about on page 130 of the Habits of Health book. And then that's page 90 of the life book, where he's saying, do it anyway so you can form the neural pathway so that it becomes automatic, so that if you have a day that you don't do it, you're hyper aware because it's so automatic that you're like, what's going on? Why did I do that? And so you guys see that if we can do it anyway, regardless of your emotions, you're going to master that habit. Okay. Kristen, I see your hand up, and I think I saw Sheila's.
Hi, good morning. I just wanted to touch really quick on what Josie said. And Rachel's my coach. So Rachel got a lot of text messages while I was on my journey. There was birthday parties, there was bridal showers, there was baby showers, there was staff luncheons. Those were for my kids. It was my kids' bridal shower. It was my kids' wedding. It was my kids' baby shower. And what I learned is that winners keep score. And you can use like your book right here in the front. And every time you win and you say not today or no thank you, write it down. And you know what? I said no a lot. There was times I got harassed, and then there was times I was supported. I had 3 deaths in 3 months on my health journey where I chose me. And I will tell you this, Josie, I don't know who's getting married, but I have 2 daughters that have gotten married, and those pictures are priceless. I am so grateful that Rachel told me, do it anyway. And yes, you're going to eat. No, you're not skipping. No, you're not going to have that. Where I would just randomly text her. There was times she didn't even answer, and she didn't need to answer. I already knew what the answer was. And guess what? Those wedding pictures are priceless. And I love how I look. I love how I feel. And I don't have to look at pictures on my wall every single day for such a big moment where I love me. So that's just kind of a little bit of thought on, when you get through some of those moments and you're like, oh my God, it's going to be hard today. It is going to be hard. But guess what? The outcome is so worth it.
Oh, I love that. Yes, I remember a journal that you kept of all the times that you said yes to your, basically, let's say it like this. This is how Dr. A just said it to us. We spent some time with him in Oregon about a week ago. And he said, everything you do is a vote for your life. Every drink of water, a vote. Every time you're like, no, I broke up with sugar about 3 weeks ago. No, thank you. A vote. Every time you take a walk, a vote. Every time you read a page of your life book, a vote. So how are you guys voting, right? And that's really just the most beautiful thing, is to see that. Sheila, you want to go ahead and share with us a little bit about what this provokes in you?
Yeah, so to piggyback off of what Josie said, and Kristen, like Josie said pretty much a lot of what I was going to say. But yeah, setting goals, stepping into, teaching others, coaching, that accountability is something that I wouldn't have if I wasn't coaching. So yeah, I mean, I don't for the sake of time, pretty much everything that Josie said is just spot on. So
good. Thank you, Sheila. Awesome. And yes, guys, today, I didn't talk about this at the beginning of the call, but today we're in for a special treat. If you can hang on, we're going to stop at 9:30, the share of this section. And then I'm going to invite you into a space where we can talk about the 5th component of this program. And I'm just going to talk with you about it, right? And share some of the things that you may or may not know, and that you may or may not want to follow up with your coach and talk about. So we are going to extend. It's a special book club. We're going to talk about the 5th component after this call. We respect that if you have to jump off, we know. If you can stay on, awesome. You will be blessed with some more insight. And if you have to listen to the playback, that works too. Okay. So I just wanted to remind everyone, today was a special book club where I'm going to kind of open up that discussion so that you can learn a little bit more about that. Tammy, did you want to share before we unpack a little bit more of 1.6?
Yes. Sorry, I'm not on camera. Still in my jammies.
Okay.
And it's beautiful to see your face. It's beautiful to see your face on book club. Okay, so transparency. If I'm going to out myself to my coach and to my squad, I might as well do it to everybody. I had my dog died, and it has broken my heart. And I have gone into the mode of comfort eating. And let me tell you, I love a good hamburger and a piece of cake. So it has been really, really hard. Because here's where I know it's all wrong. I know exactly what I'm doing. I'm making that choice to enjoy the burger. And I'm realizing that it's like, oh darn, what was the word I'm looking for? It's the, Rachel, help me out here. It's that cue for me that, it's that mindset. That's the word I'm looking for. Everything that we talk about. It's that one area of my mindset of that I can't seem to change, because I've dealt with this on many levels in the past year or so, with many family members passing, and some have been a little easier, a little harder, but it's that mindset of grief for me to get past how to console myself, and that's where I'm really struggling.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for sharing that. You know, our program is lifelong transformation, and throughout our program, we're going to have some deep losses or things that happen. Life is in session, and things will happen. And I know Phoebe was your baby, and so we appreciate you sharing that with us. I do want to, you know, this gives me an opportunity to not only coach that for you, but really look at this section too and say, what can we do in those situations? And so, what I want to share is like in the context of what Tammy shared, right? I want to help you apply this because it's a really good real life example, which is when we were younger, every time we cried, they put a bottle in your mouth or something else. Okay. And you were fed. And then every time you got a good grade, you probably got maybe a food reward, ice cream, right? When we had a bad breakup, our friend came over with Ben and Jerry's, or let's go get pizza. So this is not uncommon that the old neural pathway system says, I'm having discomfort, I need food. I'm having discomfort, I need food. And now here enters program, right? Where we're like, okay, I don't want to cope through food anymore. I don't want food to be entertainment anymore. I don't want it to equal fun. Like I can't have fun unless I'm eating really anti-health food anymore. Some of us socially were challenged, right? Like I can't go out with my friends. These are things that we tell ourselves. And what we're learning is that just like all habits become predictable, good or bad, there's a predictable outcome that Dr. A is saying here, okay? So he's saying that you have a cue in your brain. So look on page 131. This is what he was telling me, Rachel, you have a cue, right? So for me, there's an alarm that goes off 6 times a day, and it reminds me to eat. Okay. Then I eat because the alarm went off, and then I have an instant reward. I'm not hungry anymore, and I drink my water. Okay. And then I have a long-term investment that happens, which is I'm at this healthy weight. But more in the context of what Tammy is saying is that as she continues to acknowledge the alarms, drink the water, talk to this community, check in with her coach, check in with her accountability group, talk in Nourished. She is forging new neural pathways. And and that now that is becoming an entrenched road. Think of like a Jeep going over a muddy road 80 times, 66 times, a Jeep going over in the same exact spot. How deep is that trench now to where when you go down that road, you're just going to go in that, right? You're like, it's already trenched. I'm not going to like pave a new road over here when I could just go right there. They've already paved the way for me. So don't beat yourself up. Here's what Dr. A is saying, okay? This is exactly this element, this section. He's saying that you have a lizard brain, you have a Labrador brain, and you have a human brain. Okay, so he's saying there's stimulus, okay, on page 134. There's a stimulus. This could be, for in Tammy's sake, this could be you guys know the drill if you've lost a pet, like, oh my gosh, I just found another one of her leashes. Like, are you kidding me? Or the vet just called, or the groomer just called. And you're like, okay, there it is again, right? A stimulus that hurts. And then there's our response, okay? But in between stimulus and response. There's something we can do. And Dr. A is suggesting that we develop a muscle, okay? Just like a muscle on your arm, he's saying you can develop a mental muscle that's called stop, challenge, and choose. Stop and notice it. Don't run from it. This is not an avoidance program. This is an address the issue program. Notice the feeling that's coming up. I'm sad. I am so sad. I miss my doggy so much. Like, this hurts. Notice it. And then he says, so that's the stop. Like, notice the stimulation. Then there's a challenge. This is where you have to make space and not react immediately. So a Labrador reacts immediately. I just saw a bone on the counter. I took it, I'm off, right? No delay between stimulus and response. We're human, so we have a deeper understanding. We can do better. So we can stop and go, ooh, this is normally when I'm going to start eating because I'm sad. Or when you're happy, right? Your emotions are tied to eating. I suggest also for some of you, if this is a real challenge, to take the assessment in element 16 in your life book and see how you score there, because there's also some addictions that take place sometimes when it's really entrenched. But Dr. A is giving you the ability to reprogram your brain. So who knows what behavior causes your brain to switch from emotional brain, Labrador, I want it, to human brain, hold on, I don't want it. I actually want to hit my goals this week. I don't want to eat against my will again. This is not what I want the most, okay? What actual behavior, put it in the chat, will switch you from your emotional brain to your logical brain? Anyone know what will do it? Type it in the chat if you know. Take a guess. Don't be afraid to guess wrong. Okay, this is the safe environment. What do you think that is that will switch? It's an actual behavior. It's proven. It's scientific. It will take you out of your emotional brain. Breathe and take a drink of water. Yes, Yolanda. Yes. So here I am upset, right? And someone just said something really hurtful to me. Now my thing is I'll say something hurtful back. That's my old programming. That's what I grew up with. I grew up with it all around me, below the line type of interactions. So for me, my first response when I feel hurt is to hurt back. I don't want to be that. I don't want to demonstrate that to my kids. My logical brain is like, that's everything you're unbecoming. So I have to take a drink of water, right? And go, don't say anything. Now that swallow, the swallow, actually, look how awesome your body is, you guys. Like I said, it's a health class you never got. The swallow takes you out of your emotional brain and puts you back in the driver's seat of your logical brain. How cool is that? And if you can't swallow, you have no water, it's a breath. All the way. And actually, your logical brain is out in front again. And it has every chance to do the right thing. The right thing is the thing you want to do. Okay. It's not like always morally, it's just, I want to do this. Okay. So does anyone, we have time for one last share. Is this resonating with anyone? Has anyone applied this? Again, further reading 1.6 and then element 3 of your life book to really get behind this. Anybody want to share before we switch gears? Going once, going twice. I love it. I see the chat. Yes, do it daily. Wow, yes. I thought that was pretty profound. And you know what? I tested it because like anything you hear from Dr. Google or whoever, right? It has to bear fruit. It has to show up. Otherwise, it's not real. Monica, did you want to come off mute and share before we switch gears?
Sure, just real quick. So I'm an educator, and in the early part of my, well, actually my initial degree is in early childhood education. And in the early part of my career, This is actually brain science that we were taught in the development, along with development of children. And so it's actually techniques that we use with young children that when they are tantruming or just having a hard time processing it, like in a classroom, in an early childhood classroom. Those are techniques that we use specifically with them. We teach them to breathe. We have them get a drink of water. It actually is doubly beneficial if that drink of water is pulled through a straw, or a resistive cap, if it's pulled through a straw and it's cold. A couple other things, just real quick. You can also push your tongue to the roof of your mouth, will also help stimulate pulling you back into your brainstem, and what we call crossing the midline. So you remember those old windmill exercises? Or this is hard to do because I can't get far enough away, but cross your arms and twist them up. Because what that does, anytime that you cross the midline of the body, you're connecting the two hemispheres of the brain. So you are increasing those connections. So that's it.
Look at that. Look at this community, right? Like, and it's so funny because we're wired to white knuckle, where it's like, I can do this. I need to be stronger. I just need to have more willpower. What's wrong with me? Why can't I stick with anything? Well, because your brain is wired a certain way, and there's quite possibly a really good chance that we're not using these strategies that have been time tested and proven in education, and they're scientific, right? So very good share. I love that. So here's, as we close up the learning for today, the sharing for today. First of all, thank you, Josie, Sheila, Kristen, Tammy, Monica. The shares were amazing, and we really appreciate the transparency. It makes us so much stronger, and it really gets us to drop our mask and stop trying to be perfect and just study how to transform masterfully and predictably in our health journey. And there is a way, and the way that we tried before, it never worked, right? But that old programming, we call it your roommate. I call it my roommate, right? My roommate does not want good for me. She's a horrible roommate. She really needs to be evicted, because it's constantly this voice of what won't work. And so I have to confront that with all of this material. Now, I do want to say also this element, he talks about this habit loop becomes something that also touches your reticular activating system. So 5 minutes a day in the life book, you touched it, you text your coach something you're learning, you text it, you do your check-in with your coach once a week, or however your cadence is set up, you touch it, you attend some of the uplifting calls on Monday nights, right, from Dr. A's group, you touch it, you get on this group, you touch it. So you could see that the programming has to be as strong as the old programming. And if you're just eating the food, and this is your first book club or community call, the food is not our program. We're not even certified on the food. We're certified on the behavioral side, which is the life book, the Habits of Health book, because that's the game changer. Okay, so I'm going to switch gears. That part of our sharing is over. We are now going to talk about the fifth component of this program. There are 5 components of the program. One is you have a coach, and then your coach has coaches. So we do one-on-one coaching and team coaching, okay? This is how we round out the corners of your program, get multiple perspectives, even not just your coach, but their coaches, right? So you get this whole coaching piece. Then you got this community, right? Working it out together, outing ourselves, talking about real things, not doing self-directed. Then we have the books, which are challenging our old programming, and we're journaling and scribing and contending. I love the word contending. You're fighting for a new life. Yes, you want to lose some weight maybe, but who doesn't want a bigger life, right? In all aspects. So Contending means you're putting your fist up and you're in your life book and in your systems, and you're not getting knocked around on the diet loop, the despair cycle that brought you in here. Okay. From there, you've got the nutrition. And the very best plan for you is the one you're going to stick with, right? And so that's why you had, now look how that one touches your coach. Because then you got to go back to your coach and go, hey, I thought I was at ready 10, and your coach is possibly occasionally going to modify your program if you're having a hard time sticking it, right? That's why you have all this, so that you're not doing it alone, making those decisions alone. And then, so nutrition, and in that nutrition is your probiotic, your supplements, your thyroid support is in the food, the fruit that you think you're missing is in the food, all the things in the food, right? Handled, making it so easy for you to work the program. And then the fifth component of our program is what I'm going to share today. And I do hope that a few people will color it in with me at the end, that maybe have a different perspective. I think that would be rich for you to see some different perspectives. But this fifth component is, on our program, the student becomes the teacher. It's intentional, it's on purpose, it's not reserved for some and not others. This is Dr. A's intention, is that each one would teach one. Each one would teach one. The mission of Optavia is to change the trajectory of this country's health. That is the mission. It is a mission. It is not a product. Yeah, we have a product, but the product's not the mission. The mission is to change every person that raises their hand and says, I don't want medication, I don't want surgery, I don't want pills, or I want as few as I can have, and I want to go teach my family, and I want to break generational curses, and I want to, all the things, okay? That's who we show up for. Now, the dieters, right, out there, they come too, and what we try to do, and we really try, guys, is to wake them up past that diet mentality and go, how many diets have you done? How many despair cycles? How many Mondays? How many kickstarts? How many resets? How many reboots? How many boot camps? How many? Put it in the chat. How many for you? I lost count. I'd be making up a number if I threw it in there, but it's well above 15, okay? It's too many. And so Dr. A said that's going to happen again if they don't have a very high level of retention of their program. So why on earth would we say, start helping your friends and family when you don't even know everything, right? And you haven't hit your goal weight? Why would we say that? Well, number one, we're not a weight loss company. That's why. Because Optavia is not a weight loss company. Maybe that's what you're experiencing. Maybe that's what you're loving. I loved it too, right? I loved losing those last 15 pounds that stuck to me like glue. And every year I got older, they just came back with their friends. So I loved that. But that is not our program. Our program is lifelong transformation, one healthy habit at a time, vocational health, spiritual health, financial health, relational health, right? It's bigger. It keeps going. It's not, it's familial health. How many of you, like, because you're showing up better, it's spilling out into your family and they're getting this best version of you. So we're not a weight loss company, but we do that really well. But that's certainly not who we are. When people say, who are you? We are a personal development organization, and we help people become the leader of their life. Dr. A wanted each one to teach one because he's the coach, not you. And he doesn't want any experts, okay? He's very afraid of coaches that come in and want to be an expert of this program. What he'd rather see, and I've had the distinct privilege, you guys, of spending time with Dr. A multiple times, one-on-one, and ask him all the questions, right? And he doesn't want that. He wants for a person to start going up the mountain. And just about a couple days into program, or about a week, when they're like, whoo, the weight's coming off, I'm sleeping like a baby, my brain fog is gone, I haven't felt this good in I don't know when. He wants at that moment for you to live that out loud in whatever capacity you can, and bring other people with you at that moment to book club. Bring them to Nourished. Bring them to their life book and their Habits of Health book and their journal. Bring them to Monday nights. Bring them to your coach that's helping you. He did not want for you to get all the way up the mountain, however long that takes, right? The arrival, and then look up there and go, oh my gosh, look at this view. And then come back down and get your friends. He was like, take them with you as you go up. That's the mission. That's the vision. That's why your coach, put a 2 in the chat if your coach is like, been talking to you about coaching and you're kind of like, be honest, no judgment. Like I'll tell you right now, as a client, when that was presented to me, I had a lot of concepts about that. Okay. They were stories that I was telling myself and they weren't actually fact, but I had some pretty good stories in my head about what I thought that was. And then thank God they kept pursuing me and awakening me, because Optavia has changed my whole life. My whole life has changed. I have new friendships. I have an incredible marriage. I have a healthy body. I have incredible impact. And just not to brag at all, and I'm just going to say this with the most humility I can, none of you would be here if I said no to coaching. Not one of you. Not one of you. No one would be in Nourished except me if I said no. There's 3,800 people in there, I think. And you could see that I am in some way, I'm one of your great grandmas or something. I don't know how you're connected to me, but it came from my yes that you are here. And so that's the power of the sharing component. Now, it may not be your season, right this hot second. That's okay. Have you explored it with your coach? Do you even know what you're saying no to if you're saying no, right? I didn't even know what I was saying no to. I was just, no, I don't want to, is this one of the, right? And so please understand a couple things. This is not a weight loss company. Number one, you would be inviting your friends into a bigger life where they could take control like you are. We are not a sales organization. We do not sell or tell anything. There is no sales quotas. We do not do anything like that. We don't stock product in our garage. None of that stuff. We are not an MLM. I get asked that all the time. Are you guys an MLM? No, not that they're bad. Okay. I'm not here to judge how companies go to market and what they want to do. If they want to sell it through Walmart or Target or through people, I really don't care if I like the product, how they go to market, right? But we're not. And what that means is that we don't have some of the things that you might be fearing in our structure. As a matter of fact, I'll tell you, Dr. A went to doctors. When he started this program, he took it to physicians. And to this day, 50% of Optavia is provided by a physician. Okay, that's where he started. But then he started seeing what happened. And he said, well, hold on. When Kristen Reyes had her whole life transformed, her community's not going to notice. And they're not going to want help from her. How is she going to hide that transformation? She's a walking billboard for health and hope and what's possible. So he said, wait a second. Why wouldn't we have the client who's transforming have the most simple way to ambassador this program while they're still learning? Because we do the coaching, right? Monday night, the books, the podcast, the app. You don't do the coaching. You just stay near your friend and you keep inviting them to the spaces and places that you're finding healing. And that's it. And is there a financial opportunity? Yes. Did that help me immensely? Yes. Why? Part of my issue, my personal testimony, is that my husband is a fireman paramedic. And we've always been servants, both of us. That was nothing new to me. I just didn't have the right vehicle to serve in, and to create the impact that my heart wanted to have. And I owned a wellness office. I was running a wellness practice before I even knew about Optavia. So my personal story is I was practicing wellness and I learned about this comprehensive program and I took a look at it and I said, wow, that's compelling. Because what that does is it allows the client to outgrow me. Now that's a big paradigm shift, right? Where you're not paying a doctor, paying a wellness person, paying for bags and bags and bags of supplements, and you're actually forwarding your health and becoming autonomy supportive. That's huge. So that appealed to me because I really wanted my clients to be empowered. So I started down this road. I got my healthy body. I started to develop a healthy mind. And I started to develop healthy friendships with like-minded people like all of you in this room. And then I said, wow, one of my pains is that my husband works a ton of overtime. He works a lot of overtime as a fireman to help me stay home and do wellness, because wellness doesn't pay that great. It didn't, but I didn't care because I was helping people, right? And I thought, what if, right? What if I just continue to help people and love people and tell my story, and whoever comes, right? And live out loud and see what happens. And it turned into a healthy finance situation for us because we just kept helping and loving people. And that provided for our program. That was our first thing, was like, man, we helped 5 people and our whole program was paid for me. And then we helped 5 more and my husband had his program paid for. And that was really helpful to our family. And so from there, we set new goals, like no more overtime. And it took a while. We just kept helping and loving people and doing book club and showing up. And now there is no overtime. And so our family life, our familial health went from a 2 to like a 7. Okay. So if you haven't considered the 5th component, I wrote this on my Facebook last night, and I'd like to close with this and then offer a few people to share. I wrote this: I love supporting clients in their health. It's truly a beautiful way to partner with mankind, but I don't see it as the best way to help them achieve lifelong transformation. The human mind is so frail that if it isn't given the right tools for lasting change, it will self-sabotage. Our own adaptogens and programming will make us fight our own healing, and we are programmed to survive versus thrive. Dr. A's books tell you all about that. When I want to see someone's life change and have a lasting shot at that change, it requires me to partner with them to teach what they learn while they're learning it. So for the teachers in the room, when you teach something, do you have 85% more retention than if you just consume it? Yes. Why do you think Dr. A was like, I don't want your expertise. I want your experience. If you're sleeping on day 7, go tell the world who's not sleeping and see who wants to come, right? He doesn't want the expertise. The program I coach is predictable and proven, but we are unlike any other program in the student becomes the teacher. This is not a new concept. If you're a person of faith, you know you need a Timothy and a Paul. And in order to put feet on what you're learning and walk it out, that has to be done. We can't do anything without community and accountability, or self-limiting beliefs will keep us in a despair cycle and create that comfort versus our goals. So if you need lasting change, right? This is where people say, I just want a healthy lifestyle. Well, that means you're committed to becoming a student of your health. I love the community that can help you do that. Let's talk. So the 5th component is not for some. It is for all, and it will bless you. And if you've never explored it with your coach, because you might have a concept or a fear, right? That's that closed, fixed, opinionated mindset that we're trying to get rid of. And I'm going to tell you something, it may not be for you. You may go, yep, nope, I'm going to refer. Thank you. That's how I want to get my World Healthy referrals. That's what I'm going to do. Beautiful. That might be your election. Or you might go, oh my gosh, I'm totally going to do this. Not today, though. It's not my season. Or you might go, oh my gosh, I'm totally going to do this now because I've passed you how many referrals and I'm not getting the accountability and the purpose and the fulfillment. So today I just wanted to pour my heart out to this group and say, if you haven't explored it for whatever reason, do that soon and see if there's anything in it that is resonating with you. Now, for the last couple of minutes, if there's any coaches that want to share about 60 seconds or so, let's have some folks share for a minute. Like, this is my question for the coaches. What would have happened to you if you just did referrals? Like, where would you be? I'll just do referrals, right? Where would you be, Julie?
And you know well, because that's why I came to you in the beginning. Rachel and I were very good friends. And I had started a personal training business and I needed my peeps to eat right so they could see some results so I could boost my personal training business, because if they weren't looking any different, then I wasn't going to have that referral based business either. And you know, guys, what's interesting is Rachel she turned down all the referrals because she knew what this would do for our life. My husband, Brian, needed Optavia. I needed Optavia in so many ways. Our whole family did. And she knew that all it is guiding people, and you're not the expert, just like she said. And it's so easy, and it really solidifies and secures your health journey. That's our story in our house. Was lots of different programs over lots of years. And we did not secure our health journey until we started guiding others. Plain and simple. It is the one thing that has kept us on this path. It is the only thing. I'll be quite honest with you about that. And so, yes, I believe it is the best way to share our program. It's the most impactful. Referrals work to an extent because you are helping your friends and family and you're outing yourself with them, which is key. But if you're going to opt for referrals, actually do that. Actually take advantage of that tool to help build accountability around yourself. Don't just say, yeah, I'm going to send people to you and then never tell a soul that you're getting healthy, because that's not going to work. It's not going to help you to secure your results. But coaching has definitely been the main way. And about a quarter of the people on this call are here because Rachel said yes, and because Brian and I said yes. I'm looking at the faces, and it is such a ripple effect, guys, and it's impacting whole towns and cities. So that's my piece.
So beautiful. Yes, your top 5 circle, right? Dr. A talks about the power of that. And so getting referrals is great. But remember that they have the most trust with you. And so that's what Dr. A was up against, was like the most trust that they have is from the person that they saw on program that inspired them. And that person is the best sojourner to go with them. And they'll open up the most to that person versus your coach, perhaps, right? They'll get success, the program works, right? But it's more about getting them a bigger life instead of just a smaller body, you know? Anyone else that wants to share, like, coaching changed everything for me, and I'm so thankful I didn't refer. And a matter of fact, put a 2 in the chat if you are a coach guiding others right now. Put a 2 in the chat. I better put a 2 in the chat. All right, anyone else before we wrap up? Or hey, this is family time. If you're like, well, I got a burning question, right? Probably better to ask it on a Coach Explorer, but this is a safe place. If you want to ask anything, take yourself off mute and we will. If not, we will wrap it up. Sheila, I see your hand up.
Yeah, do we have time, or do you want to
Yeah, we have time. We just don't have time for awkward silence. I'm like, oh, nope. Okay, go ahead.
So yeah, I started coaching. It'll be a year in November, and yeah, it's changed everything. This program has changed my life completely. So we're putting a pool in our house because of this program, and I'm paying for it. So my mind, my body, me, I'm a completely different person. So I can't thank you enough. So if you're thinking about it, it's a lot easier than you think, people. So stop getting ready to get ready and just try it. That's all I got.
I love that. And look at this. Sheila was a referral of a referral for me. So 3 generations away. I didn't know her personally, but man, I got a beautiful friend and a client and now a coach who's helping people in her circle. And man, she's passionate about that. I love it. So good. Michelle.
Okay.
Oh,
Okay,
I'm
hopefully
sorry,
I had good
Adrian. I
service
see
here
you,
at the.
Adrian. You'll be next. There we go.
Okay, yeah, you asked me this question, I don't know, a few weeks ago, like where would I be if I wasn't head coach? I probably would have treated it just like a diet. The personal development of this program has totally changed my life. And it started with coaching. Everything that I'm getting from as being a coach, I know Rachel likes to say that the program's A to M, I'm going to say, and then coaching is N to Z, and it's exactly true. This quick financial part of it is I was able to retire 2 years early from teaching due to helping other people. So my purpose is now working with clients and guiding them where I was working with the littles, and I don't have to do that anymore. So yeah, it just changed my life.
Love it. So good. Yes, you guys have gifts and talents that we need already within you. Each one of you has something for the mission as you are, as you are. So that is beautiful. Anthony, and I don't know if it's Adrian or Anthony, I'm sorry, but
It's Adrian, and I'm sorry, my picture's not on. But I wanted to say the biggest thing for coaching for me, that accountability. I would have given up on myself so many times over and over again. But because I was guiding others, I did not want to let them down. So not only was I helping them, but them being on the program helped me stay committed to my program. And then, of course, the financial benefits have been great too. So that's my contribution.
I love that. Yeah, so just so you know, before, excuse me, we go to Anthony, pardon me, we do well only if someone's life is changing, right? So, we're not paid to recruit people, all those concepts again that pop up. We are paid when someone's life is transforming. So if no one's life is transforming, there is no pay. So it's a double impact, that's for sure. Anthony, and then Megan, and then we'll wrap up.
All right. I simply want to state that coaching is probably the single most thing that has made me accountable to myself. And it's easy when you are only accountable. We call it, hiding, dieting in the dark. It's easy to let yourself down. But I have a real problem letting other people down. And coaching has made me accountable to other people. And I cannot, for the life of me, not live in integrity in such a way that I can be a light and a help to those that said yes to the program. So that accountability.
Somehow we got stuck on mute, all of us. So I don't know what happened there, Anthony, but we did hear you. Yes, thank you for your share. Absolutely. Like, I'm going to give you guys a stat. 2.5 versus 2.5. Okay, so those of you who track with us still, clients typically remember, we came into this program kind of mismanaged, right? mismanaged. That's why we're here all together. None of us are on lockdown. So if you came in mismanaged, your brain is going to say, I'm going to give it about 2.5 months, and then this better change my whole life. Okay. But I laugh because I did that. Like, I laugh at myself because I'm like, Rachel, how did you expect to change 30 years of habits in 2.5 months? But I did. And thank God I started coaching, because coaches stay about 2.5 years in community, right? We transition, we optimize. So when these guys are saying accountability, it's because they have a life cycle that allows them to stay long enough to actually finish the life book, and they're in community, and they're not running out the back door if this thing doesn't work in the next 60 days or something, right? Lifestyle changes don't happen in a month on program. So I hope that helps put some context in there too. Megan?
Hey guys. Yeah, so for me, it was also accountability as well, but also just it widened my community. So I get to be a part of an even bigger community with everyone who is coaching through Optavia as well. But also just financially, we, my husband and I were going through financial peace and trying to get out of debt, and it was going to take us years. And that has sped up that date so quickly. And just time freedom too, and freedom to be with our family. So we've been able to experience so much more time with our kids and taking more days off work and more vacations than we would have ever been able to do before Optavia. And I love that, because that is what's most important to me, is my kiddos and my family, and just being able to experience more time with them is worth it, and help other people too.
So good. Now, Megan is a nurse practitioner, right? Who's also jumping the fence and getting she's on the response side, and she's going into prevention. She does some prevention in her response side too. But obviously, this has made her even more well-rounded in that area. And she's building a life of freedom. And so how cool is it that the program can be coached by people on her team are just laymen in the area of health, and they're as successful as a nurse practitioner because they just coach the systems. Look at our little, did you guys know we had a teacher's edition of this? We're not that smart. We just use our tools, okay? So we're going to end the call here today. I hope that if you're listening to this playback and you're driving and you're like, wow, I'm glad I listened to this. Here's the call to action. Set up a guide explorer with your coach. Figure out what it is and what it isn't for you. Figure out the questions you have towards it, and it's informational. Just like we did not convince you to do program, we will not convince you to coach, okay? But we will empower you with the information to make an educated decision as to no thank you, yes thank you, yes later, okay? And so that's what we wanted to give you today. Everyone have a great day. Thank you for staying on, many of you. And I hope that you got something out of this morning that you can take into your community and go teach it right away to your kids, the water, the swallow, whatever, so that you can change your little corner of the world. Bye-bye.